Mike Syndicated Radio Show. We're going to keep you up to date and current in all sports. We'll make sure you're aware of everything in corporate and enterprise business. And most of all, we'll share with you how to make a little more money as we cover the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. Video podcast where it's my opinion, but if it turns to truth, I've given you the facts before this happened. Kyle Shanahan is on the hot seat, but the hot seat is starting to boil. There's no doubt about it. We now know it wasn't defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes' fault, as it was. We made one game to the Super Bowl, and then Wilkes was fired. And we also know that the 49ers have a tremendous amount of injuries, but this has been the 49ers case under the tenure of Kyle Shanahan. These and more, we'll ask these questions, and we'll make sure that you have a clear understanding. As the season was going, and I looked at the offseason last year, I said Kyle Shanahan would be on the hot seat. I made it very clear that with Kyle Shanahan, the reason he would be on the hot seat is because Kyle Shanahan has mortgaged the San Francisco 49ers future. You traded Trey Lance, there's no doubt about it, 3 first-round draft picks. He's no longer with the 49ers. You also fired Steve Wilkes, and that was something that was of surprise. When we looked at Steve Wilkes, we blamed that it was because he wasn't coaching on the field. He was coaching in the booth. So we made a decision to bring Steve Wilkes down to the booth, and the 49ers lost the Super Bowl, not because of Steve Wilkes, but because the 49ers offense wasn't effective and efficient. Now we look forward, and we utilize Steve Wilkes as an excuse, okay, and as a boundary to say, if we would have had a defense, we would have won. But now we look forward till today, and the 49ers have brought in Staley, and they promoted from within. But the question that I have now, we were one game away from the Super Bowl. Will we be one game away from the Super Bowl again this year? It looks like the 49ers defense is in a state of emergency. And as we look at the defensive line, the injuries continue to mount. And then we look at also Fred Warner, okay, who is the tiger, the lion that controls the jungle, has succumbed to injuries as well. While he gives a valid effort and he searches for the victory that is in his hands, he understands injuries take time to heal. The 49ers have played a defense. They wanted to bring in a wide 9 exotic, but it only works if the front 4 can command double team. If you can't stop the run, then it's not going to be an acceptable defense. And now, as I told you previously in the past, it's extremely hard to build a defense in a matter of 1 year. That's what the 49ers tried to do. We have a host of free agents and a whole list of additional players. Never played before, but this is something that Kyle Shanahan promised, said would be better as they came into the offseason. They acquired Staley, former head coach of the Chargers, on the premise that the 49ers, when they lost to the Rams and the Rams won the Super Bowl, Staley was the defensive coordinator. He took the defense to the San Diego Chargers, unsuccessful. There were moments of greatness, but many moments of doubt. And now he's with the San Francisco 49ers, and we're seeing the repeat performance. The defense that he wants to run requires specialty and body that the 49ers have not been able to deliver. And now the 49ers are going to go deeper into the depth chart. And I told you at the beginning of the year, I figured the 49ers rookies will play a valuable role in this year's season. Now, as we go forward, we must understand that the injuries that the 49ers have, it gets to the point, my question is Kyle Shanahan doing reckless coaching. Reckless coaching is when you run your running backs through the zone reads. And the running back each and every time has to cut up into what we call the gauntlet. That is a space that no one else can determine where the hit will come, whether it will be at the ankle, the legs, the hip, the head. You're running through the gauntlet of players. It's similar to an old drill that Barry Switzer ran at Oklahoma, but it's very painful on the running back. As running backs move out of the 49ers and the gauntlet that they expect running backs to run through, you notice Mostert over in Miami is having great talent and great years. Why? Because the offense is designed for running backs to run out of bounds. So now Christian McCaffrey is hurt. Brock Purdy is left alone. Kyle Shanahan talked about being off schedule. Well, I've never seen Brock Purdy so off schedule before since I've been watching the San Francisco 49ers. It looks as if time has come where we must go back and ask ourselves, is Kyle Shanahan on the boiling hot seat? Out here in the city of San Francisco, you got Pier 39, Fisherman's Wharf. The seafood and the crab is the best in the international water. But then again, you must boil the crab to get the flavor. Shanahan has boiled the 49ers. He's traded away 3 first-rounders. He's went in there and attempted to do things that no other coach has done. But still in all, he's still the coach that lost to Bill Belichick and allowed a tremendous comeback from not running the ball. Now we ask ourselves as a local media, I always enjoy listening to Grant Coon because I had a chance to work with his father, Lowell Coon. And one thing he told me, if you don't see the story, you find it and ask the tough question. So as I had the opportunity to see, I see Grant Coon, the son, who's coming forward and say the 49ers need to trade Kyle Shanahan. You mentioned many times there were calls to Bill Belichick, but I'll tell you this, Bill Belichick wouldn't come as the defensive coordinator, but Bill Belichick has a staff and a whole group of people within his network that would enjoy being the leaders of the San Francisco 49ers. The discipline, the defense, the talent that the 49ers have require the coaching of Bill Belichick. The quarterback, Brock Purdy, will understand a different game of football, but that's the games that wins championships. When somebody has went ahead and won 8 to 9 Super Bowls and coached the greatest linebacker in the game, I think he knows a thing or two that Fred Warner would learn from Bill Belichick. The defense would play a different style, but it would be disciplined, and that's what the 49ers and Bill Walsh have lived by. There's something about the name Bill in the NFL that brings a magnitude of success. The mission critical information of the coaches in the NFL named Bill, I talk about Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick. You add the number of Super Bowls that have been under the name of Bill, there is no greater coaching that God has placed. As the windows of heaven have opened up and given Bill, the Bills, the key to the city of the NFL. Bill Walsh, legendary head coach, mastermind of offense, mastermind of defense. Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick coached Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defender to ever play the game. But they played it with discipline and defense, and they did not change their defensive model. So you have to ask yourself, when you get back to Kyle and he's boiling, Bill Belichick would have never changed out a defensive coordinator one game for the Super Bowl. The Patriots accepted their losses, and they figured out a way to win. Did we all agree with how they did it? No. But we all understand the game in the National Football League is to win by any allowed means necessary. But here nor there, we get to today, and here we are. Bill Walsh, Bill Parcells, and now Bill Belichick. The time is right. The team, the Bay Area, there's an ocean to go fishing, Bill, and it's time to come on in. As you know, Tom Brady from the Bay Area, Steve Young, Teddy Berluschi, you got a lot of players that have played with Bill that are out on the California. Willie McGinnis. Okay, the list goes on and on and on. So the 49ers, as we look at this, I go back and I tell you again, the injuries, and now the boiling hot seat. A hot seat is something that you can't get away from, but the 49ers have brought in Staley, and that was meant to be the interim coach. We'll see how it all details out. Seasons do turn around. You could never tell a season from just 5 games. You're listening to the Money Mike syndicated radio show. We're going to keep you up to date and current in all sports. We'll make sure you're aware of everything in corporate and enterprise business. And most of all, we'll share with you how to make a little more money as we cover the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. All colleges, and you stay tuned for the Money Mike syndicated radio podcast. but the worry and the look in the 49ers' eyes tell it all. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. All things are possible to those who believe. We'll see you soon.